All right, everybody. On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, the Ottawa Senators gave Jake Sanderson an 8-year deal. So, of course, we're going to make that all about us. And what does that mean for Devon Toews? Should we enjoy this maybe one last ride with Taves? Is it just going to be too much to keep him around? We'll talk about it. New episode Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. Make sure to follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on YouTube, over on YouTube. Subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Definitely subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that is in the show notes below. A lot of good stuff coming up with that when the season comes around. But get in on that now. Link to that is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. All right, rundown if you're watching on YouTube, a pretty new rule that some European leagues have instituted, in which they interview the refs following games. I like it. The Bleacher Report came out with the top 10 teams that are the most fun or most the teams that you should, how do they word it? That are most watch. No, I don't know.
Most fun to watch.
Most fun to watch, I guess. Yeah. And the Avs were not on the top 10. So we'll talk about that. But where we're going to start today is, like we said in the opening, the Ottawa Senators and Jake Sanderson came up with a new 8-year deal, $8 million, 8.05 to be specific, AAV per year. He only had 1 year left on his ELC, so a new deal was going to have to be signed, and this is it. And of course, when stuff like this happens, when a player on another team signs a pretty big deal, everybody scrambles to talk about players on their team that they have coming up that they need to sign and compare it to that and that deal that went down and similar deals around the league, because that's the going rate for defensemen, or what is the going rate for defensemen. And for Sanderson to go from making less than $1 million a year, which was his entry-level contract, to now catapulting him into a different tax bracket, over $8 million a year starting next season. This comes into play for the Colorado Avalanche and one Devon Toews. And the more I want to just sit back and say, like, oh, everything will be okay, the more I just feel like it's not going to be. And this is the business part of sports. I want him around as long as possible, and I just don't think it's going to be possible, Kyle. I think this is the last hoorah with Devon Toews, and I'm not even convinced it's going to last a full season. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I just feel like, with the signings going down for a defenseman, we knew he is going to be a little bit too rich because of what he's done since he's come over here. I don't know, man. Like I'm kind of just settling into this is the last year that Devon Toews is going to be wearing burgundy and blue.
You said Sanderson signed an 8-year, 8.05 AAV.
Yeah.
That would be basically double.
Pretty much.
What Devon makes now.
Right.
He's
making 4.1.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he gave us about 50 points. It was 50 points on the nose in the regular season last year.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to see here is, does Devon Toews command that kind of money?
100% he does. I'm not even hesitating answering that. Yeah, he's gonna pass $8 million per year with
Interesting.
pretty much ease.
Does where is he going to find that $8 million team?
It's not going to be with the Avalanche. That's the problem.
Yes.
There will be a team that gives him that. I don't know who that is right now because that's a year away, and I don't know all 32 teams and what their cap situation is like going into next year. But there will be a team that has cap space available, and there will be a team that offers him more than that. He will be in the Makar range of around 9 million, I would say. And with the cap, the cap might is supposed to go up a little bit. He might benefit off of that too a little bit more. Will he go more than Makar? There might be a team willing to pay him more than that. It cannot be the Avalanche. It won't be them.
I'm curious. Like I also am kind of. I think the writing's on the wall that we are losing Taves because of not just this, but with Bo and Byram also knocking on the door and the team getting younger. And it's one of those that Taves works well with the team, but the way the defensive identity is shifting, I don't know. I would love him to stick around.
Oh my God.
And that was going to be my next question to you, Chris. What would be a team-friendly pitch to keep him around? Do you think like a $6 million?
You know what, man?
Keep him around?
I was going to bring this up. I think one of the things that I've come to terms with. I fully think this is the last year Devon Toews is with the Avalanche, and I also have to kind of remove the phrase like hometown discount from my vocabulary. And I think a lot of fans, no matter what team you root for, I feel like this is a thing where like, well, hopefully they'll take a hometown discount. They don't exist anymore in sports. They really don't. And the Avalanche have had a front row seat to players not taking a quote unquote hometown discount. Nazem Kadri didn't take a hometown discount. We all wanted him to. JT Compher did not. Evan Rodriguez. I mean, I don't think the Avalanche, I could think they could have pursued him a little bit more. Brandon Saad was another one. Philip Grubauer was another one. Darcy Kemper was another one. The list could go on and on and on of players that the Avalanche wanted to keep, but couldn't offer money. They could offer winning. And in all those scenarios, the player took the money. And I don't blame them for that. That's fine. If you want to cash in while you can, go get it. Hometown discounts are, what, fill in the blank. And I don't think Devon Toews is going to do that either for them. Like, he has positioned himself to really cash in for this next contract. He's going to do that. And that's why I feel like it's just not going to happen with the Avalanche, because he's not. If they went to him and said like, hey, $6 million, we can afford that. He'd be like, yeah, I can probably get $3 million more per year somewhere else. He would be stupid not to take that. And he's already won the championship. So he's done everything here that he can. He's gone, folks. I don't, and I know a lot of people are going to say like, you could get rid of Sam Girard. I know people are on that bandwagon. I don't feel like the Avalanche are. I feel like they feel like they have Sam Girard at a good number, a relatively good number. And they don't feel like he's as bad as you think he is. I'm not saying you, there's a lot of the fan base. So no, I think they feel like they have Sam Girard at a team-friendly deal, believe it or not, and to give Devon Toews basically $1 million more than Sam Girard is making, Taves is gonna be like, no, that's not. He would love to stay, but the Avs just simply cannot afford him. I don't see how it's going to happen.
I wonder what that deal would look like for a Taves.
You mean a contract?
Yeah, I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, if I was not wearing a Colorado Avalanche shirt right now, is he one of those names that excite you as a free agent pickup?
Yeah, dude, he's going to be. Yeah. He is going to be. Because
when you
that
hear
guy.
it, I think with the Cale Makar, you're like, oh yeah, that's the guy who always is on the pairing with Cale Makar, and we talked about it. The everydayers know when we did our grades, it was kind of an invisible year. There was a lot more like fundamental hiccups in this last season, this last campaign for Taves. And
Well, I think a lot of that is, it was a struggle for a lot of guys last year because of so many injuries. Does he benefit from playing with Cale Makar? Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I don't think his drop off is so much that if you take him off of a pairing with Cale Makar, he suddenly becomes just your average defender. I don't think that's the case for him. Like he is a solid defender and he's going to cash in.
Yeah, and I just, and you were talking about like the Sam Girard thing. I feel like this would be the time that you would move him to keep Taves. Because as of right now, you're paying Sam Girard more.
Well, you're right, you are. Yeah.
You are. And there's, when push comes to shove, if I was asked to keep one of the two, it's Taves all day long. I'm not even thinking about it. Right. So this would be one of those, instead of letting him walk for nothing, I might move Girard for something, free up a little bit of that room, and keep the Batman and Robin pairing of Taves Makar.
Yeah. So I think, how we were saying when the Eric Johnson contract is up, that money will just go to Nathan McKinnon, which essentially it did.
And he's still playing for us, apparently.
Yeah, for some reason he doesn't want to leave Colorado. He's still practicing with him. I think there's this same could be theoretical with get rid of that $5 million that is with Girard, and then that goes right to Devon Toews, and there's your $9.1 million. But it's not that simple because you do have a lot of other guys you have to sign too. It doesn't, and then you have Gabe Landeskog coming back as well next year, hopefully. There's $7 million right there that's coming back on the books. So it's not as simple as the Eric Johnson one. And that's why I don't think, and even Peter Baugh was talking about this. He had no, it wasn't Peter Baugh. I apologize. I think it was in Colorado Hockey Now. It wasn't that either. I'm sorry. I think it was Mile High Hockey. There we go. I knew it was one of them. I think it was Adrian from Mile High Hockey was talking about it. It is a possibility, and I kind of agree with him that the Avalanche could trade Taves at some point during the season. And if you can't figure out the numbers, if you can't figure out who to move around, because you would have to sign him this year, you have to sign that extension this year to be assured. You got him obviously for the foreseeable future. If you can't get there, I am on the boat of you need to trade Devon Toews because his stock right now is at an all-time high. And what you could get in return for him, you would be okay. You would be okay long-term. You would be hurt for the remainder of this year for whenever you trade him, whether it's at the trade deadline or somewhere around the new year or something like that. But what you could get in return for him would be a minor king's ransom, maybe a prince's ransom, if you want to say that. And, it would suck for the remainder of this year because you don't have that Batman and Robin duo, but you have Bo Byram there that you are hoping could eventually, I think that's the long-term feeling anyway. If you lose Devon Toews is okay, we have Bo Byram there. You also have, how many defenders do they have in their system? Some hopefully are ready to go pretty soon. Others are a few more years away. You have defenders in the hopper. I know you have Devon Toews now, and they're not Taves, and they might not be, maybe not ever. But what you could get back, you could get players back. You could get immediate players back that help you right now for a playoff push. You could get draft picks. You could get prospects. You can get things in return for Devon Toews, and it might have to happen. You cannot. I'll say it a third time, Kyle. You cannot let Devon Toews go for absolutely nothing. This is not JT Compher of letting JT Compher go and letting Evan Rodriguez go. This is a guy who has immense value. You don't want to let him go, but it makes all the sense in the world. If you don't think you can maneuver the numbers around, you have to move him because you can get a really good return for him right now. This is the business side of things, folks. I know it stinks, and we all love Taves. We want him to retire as an Av, but I just don't see it happening.
I honestly, I'm in the camp of you don't let him go. If they let Taves go and they bring in more hope and wish and a project, you're getting a repeat of last year and what this looks like. And if they hold on to Sam Girard and let Taves go, we just talked about it on Wednesday's episode. The grade for the confidence in the front office, you just lost a letter grade.
Not for me. Not for me. And I know some people will side with you. I know probably a lot of them will side with you. But what you would get in return would not be a project. Like it would be a bona fide player that you can insert right now and away you go. I don't know if it would be a defender. I don't know if you're trading a defender for a defender, or maybe if you need help. By the time you're coming around to trading him, you are thinking about what do we need? And if it's a forward, you can go get a really good forward for Devon Toews right now. Could you not?
You might can, but it's one of those. If you're losing Taves, your need shifts to defense. You don't need another forward.
No, I mean it shifts. Things would change on the defensive end, no doubt about it. No doubt. But are you comfortable with Byram stepping up and being that guy with Kale? Hopefully Manson, who reports are he could be hurt already.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's too early to really speculate on that. But he wasn't out on the ice for practicing in day 2, so was it just an off day? Who the heck knows already? I don't know, man. Like we're already going long in this segment because it's a fascinating topic and it's something that we're going to be watching all year long, without a doubt. So fire away in the comments. I know some people probably think I'm a lunatic, but I don't want him to go.
I don't either.
But it kind of would make sense. If you can't sign him, this is where the business comes in. Go get things for him, and you can get a lot. All right, let's hear from FanDuel, and then we got a lot of other stuff to get to already. Man, we'll get to that. Why the Avs aren't fun? You kidding me? Say what? But first, FanDuel in the football season is here. As we're recording this, the game is being played right now. See how much we care about the NFL? We're recording a show, but it's about to kick off. It has kicked off, and FanDuel is here giving you the chance to win all season long. Because right now, when you bet a Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every time they win during the regular season. Pick your team, doesn't matter who it is, and when they win during the regular season, you get bonus bets for every victory. Go spend those bonus bets on whatever you want. Regular, just straight up spreads, player props, over-unders, so much more. You can visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sports book. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Get over there, make some bets, bet the Broncos all day long. Yes, do it. All right. So on the Bleacher Report, Sarah Sivian put up an article on, I'm going to throw this up on YouTube right now. Let's move some stuff around. There you go. So the best teams to watch, basically as far as fun, the fun factor. And you have to read her article in full. It's not, she just didn't put up a graphic up. And she kind of admits that she's going to probably take some heat for this. And she also says like fun doesn't necessarily mean just the best teams in the league. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that. But I do have some quibbles with some of these teams that she put on here. First of all, if you're not on YouTube and you're listening through radio or audio, whatever you're doing, I'll read them. She put the top 8 up. So from 8 to 1, from number 8, the Dallas Stars, 7, Pittsburgh Penguins, 6, Edmonton Oilers, 5, Buffalo Sabres, 4, Chicago Blackhawks, 3, Florida Panthers, 2, the New Jersey Devils, and at number 1, she has the Seattle Kraken. And the reason she has Seattle at number 1 is she feels like because they're a 4-line team. They roll, and she's right. They roll out 4 lines. All 4 lines are expected to. The 4th line is expected to kind of do what the top line does and go out there and produce points. And she's right. And would I put Seattle at number 1? I don't know about that, but yeah, I think Seattle is an entertaining and fun team to watch. But she's got them at number 1. What do you think overall? Just give me your take on that, and then we'll break this thing down.
Yeah, when it comes to fun teams, I like the clarification that it's not best teams because, again, you don't see Colorado, you do not see Boston, you do not see your Tampa Bays, your established. Carolina's not even up there,
Mhm.
and they're not my favorite team in the league, but everybody always projects them to be a cup contender.
And
Not in this
you
list.
can't fault her for bias either, because she covered Carolina for a while.
Yeah.
So I mean, she doesn't have money.
But
So
I cannot disagree with that. The Seattle team is fun to watch, and I will, if on an Avs off night, I will throw on a Kraken game because that team is fun. They are
Sure.
deep. How they play hockey is fun, and that environment, especially if it's a home game, that's just a great hockey game.
Yeah.
The one that I question the most. How is the Edmonton Oilers fun to watch?
Wow, really? I didn't know you were going to go there.
Yes,
Dude. I mean, when you got Connor McDavid on your team, like that dude's a human highlight reel.
We're talking about fun.
So,
like
okay.
this is the same story year in, year out with Edmonton. Like the fun is gone. Like if you want McDavid, you can watch old clips on YouTube. Like it's not going to change. The narrative's going to be the exact same for the Oilers.
So it's kind of funny how I'm kind of defending Connor McDavid as a reason to watch Edmonton. I mean, she's got Chicago in here at number 4 for the sole reason of Connor Bedard, right? So
Well, that's new.
If my phone could send me notifications on when Connor Bedard hits, like his shift is about to start, I'll turn on a Blackhawks game, and then 30, 45 seconds later, I'll shut it off, because I just don't think the Blackhawks are going to be that exciting, save for him. But and I make that argument and then kind of defended Connor McDavid, but that's a different animal right now. With McDavid, you know what you're going to get. I think down the road, you know what you're going to get for Bedard, but like we're throwing so many eggs in the Bedard basket right now, and dude's, hasn't stepped foot out there yet. I get why she puts him there. Would I put him at 4? God, no. God, no. I don't know why Pittsburgh's on here. If you want to watch some geriatric hockey, feel free. Pittsburgh is just not going to be an exciting team. I know they have a bunch of new guys. I just don't feel like they're going to be that exciting. Sure, I think Dallas will be exciting. Buffalo is definitely going to be exciting. The New Jersey Devils are definitely going to be exciting. My question is, are the Colorado Avalanche not an exciting and fun team to watch anymore?
They're a hockey machine.
I mean, any possession, Cale Makar can, break ankles and snap knees. What Nathan McKinnon does on a nightly basis is just being shot out of a cannon. You have superstars on that team. They are a fun team to watch.
Well, on the quest to the cup for the Colorado Avalanche, they took the fun out of the playoffs. We always say it's the hardest road to get to the championship. The Avalanche did with ease, sweeping 2 of those rounds. Like after, like, you're like, okay, that's a really good team. And even with their injuries that they suffered last year, like you just knew that's a good Avalanche team that got beat by the number 1 team on this list because they were deeper. But when you it's one of those that how Avalanche games are going to go, because that you just know the Avs are good. They're probably going to win this game. Why am I watching this game? That's probably the logic behind this. The same with the Boston Bruins. Right.
But it's how they go about winning. You know what I mean? Like watching Cale Makar just dance around the ice is just, I've never been to the ballet, but I'm sure it's very similar to that.
And having that entire defensive core and the forwards that they did last year, and all of this hinged on Georgiev in goal looking really, really good. And nobody's talking about that storyline that, like, he was a backup, never got the job, and now what could have been in New York.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting thing. Most of them I agree with. There's just a couple on there that were glaring to me, mainly the Blackhawks and the Penguins. But I definitely think the Avalanche are a top 8 fun and exciting team to watch still, to me. Yep. So thoughts, throw them in the comments section. And anybody else that should be on here outside of the Avalanche, any teams that you feel like should be on here, then just throw them in the comment section. Last thing we're going to get to is, that new rule over in some European leagues about interviewing the refs after games. We're going to get to that next. And the last thing we want to get to is, like we said, there's a new rule in a few European leagues. I don't have the exact leagues in front of me, but they are going to interview refs following games to talk. Whoever, if this was TNT, you're going to get Paul Bissonnette interviewing refs, kind of explaining some calls. And if there were some questionable calls, they'll ask him about it. To me, this is like a no-brainer thing that should have been happening decades ago across all sports. I don't understand why refs just can duck out of a building and not have an interview process like all the players have to do. The players just went to war, and you do it 82 times in a season, and you're expected to sit in front of press even after a tough loss, and the last thing you want to do is talk to anybody. You have to go do that. And the refs can just pack up, shower up, go home, and don't have to talk ever about anything. The league will come out and say, oh, they missed this call, or we support them on this call. But I think doing this kind of just gives some insight as to why they called it. Now, they can say, like, I haven't gone back and reviewed it, but this is what I saw live in live action. Everything happens fast. I get that. But you can at least get something from the refs on what they saw and why they called something. I think this is like, we should be implementing this like now.
Yeah, and I think this goes back to previous conversations we had. This is the way for the NHL to be different. I know the NBA has their referees do the last 2-minute report.
Do they in the NBA?
Yeah, the NBA does that. They have a last 2-minute report, just kind of breaking down the logic behind everything and holding.
But that's just a report. Like, they don't actually talk to them, right?
No, and it comes out afterwards. But this has been something the NBA has been begging for, NFL has been begging for, MLB especially.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way for the NHL to get out in front of everybody and do that. But in my mind, hearing this, all I just keep thinking is, oh, great. This is just going to be a Wes McCauley thing. That's going to be the only one they're going to be wanting to talk to.
And the way they can make it very friendly to the refs, right? You don't need to have the entire cast of whatever post-game show just grilling these guys. You can make it comfortable for them. We'll only have one guy interviewing you questions, and he'll only ask you 3 questions, and then you're out. You know what I mean? Like, just set it up where they're not going to feel bombarded. Because, and then they might, that's not going to go over too well either. But just, hey, this is, and maybe you could even show them the replay. Say, this is a replay. Do you still agree with that call? Or if you don't want to do that, put them on the spot right away. I'm not, just something. Just a little bit of hey, what went on there, and why was it called the way that it was called? And even if you don't like that answer still, at least we heard from them out of their own mouths as to why it went that way.
And it doesn't have to be an every game thing. Like, there are a majority of the games that the refs get out, not many penalties were called. It was a pretty good game.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear on a 1-0 win, like, why did you call a hooking? It doesn't need to be mandatory every game, but when you make those too many men on the ice calls, or
offsides in the playoffs calls,
in the playoffs, you do need to back that up. If it's going to be controversial, like, the media could say, hey, you need to explain this, and they need to come and be before the teams and media availability, come out there and explain the logic behind the call. But it doesn't need to be every night, because I don't want to hear the crowd was nice tonight. Teams seem like, I don't need a summary, just explanation on controversial calls.
Yeah. I just want something.
Yes.
Just something. I feel like it's time. In the age of information, we're not getting it right from the people who control the game, technically. So let's start doing this.
But we also are fans of the NHL, and we have a shield, and we haven't used shield since like the 1800s. So we're not going to innovate.
Not happening. All right. Fire away in the comments section on anything that we talked about today. And no crossover, because the network was busy. We had a couple lined up, but they just fell through. So next week we only got a couple more before the season starts, and then that'll go away till next summer. But now we thank you for tuning in for today and making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I'm Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you guys on Monday.